Hello and welcome to today's press briefing with Minister for Financial Markets Niklas Wykman and President of FATF Kumar. The press briefing will be available on the Swedish government's website, government.se.
Hello and welcome everyone. I will do this in English or Swenglish since we have an international guest. Really, we from the Swedish government, we just wanted to have an open opportunity for you to ask questions and listen to the President of the FATF who has visited us today. We had a Nordic meeting with my Nordic counterparts. Of course, we're looking to the FATF meeting in Washington in April, looking for joint Nordic efforts to fight crime, money laundering, and so on. In Sweden, we have already prepared our authorities. We decided in February to assign them to prepare for the next round of FATF work, both for looking to Sweden and also for Sweden contributing in the international cooperation. So we had a really good meeting with my Nordic colleagues and the FATF president, and we are really, from the Swedish perspective, committed to the FATF work, and we're open to see how we can contribute more to FATF, to both the development of the organization and also to their tools and their ability to carry out their important work. So please, Mr. President, once again, welcome to Sweden, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Minister. It's a real pleasure to be here, particularly as this is, I understand, the first such meeting that the Nordic ministers are having. I thought it would be useful to just give you some background on FATF. FATF, has been around since 1989. It is essentially the global standard setter for anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and countering proliferation financing. And not only do we set global standards, very importantly, we audit countries against those global standards. And these results are then published for everyone to basically see. This has a very strong impact, obviously, on countries, making sure then that they prepare well for the mutual evaluations and that they then demonstrate that they have a very strong system in place to tackle terrorism financing, money laundering, as well as proliferation financing. Very importantly, it's important for us not only to have countries getting a robust system in place, but as this meeting proved, the importance of getting better and stronger regional collaboration in this fight against, financial crime and organized crime generally. And so I was really delighted to be here and to have the opportunity to have a very good, very detailed discussion with the Nordic countries, and to also, address some of the questions and issues that they raised. I would encourage you to take a look out. There will be a major meeting that will be held on the 18th of April in Washington, D.C. This involves the ministers from across the FATF community coming together, and there will be a ministerial declaration, and there will be agreement on a set of strategic priorities that the FATF is presenting to the ministers for endorsement, which will see us through for the next 2 years. Now, the challenges before us are significant. We are dealing with, organized crime on a scale that can only be described as industrial scale. And so now, more than any other point in time, we have to push back very strongly and go after the proceeds of crime, the dirty money that then fuels, further crime. And this is something that we have been advocating very strongly. And we are encouraging countries to essentially not only have the full suite of laws in place, but very importantly, to effectively implement and operationalize those laws to get good results and good, strong outcomes. So maybe with that as the opening statement, I'll open the floor to questions that you may have.
Please, does anybody have any questions? We will pass around the microphone as usual. Yeah, please, Tete.
Yes, hi, I'm from the TT News Agency in Sweden. And I wanted to ask you, you talked about the organized crime. Do you see, because in Sweden we have a lot of debate about organized crime now. And would you say that the trend in Sweden when it comes to money laundering is it increasing or decreasing?
Well, I won't speak about any specific country, but let me just talk about the situation globally. With the crime, situation being what it is, we are seeing huge amounts being made, for example, from online fraud. After the pandemic, we know that there's been a huge displacement into the online space. And so globally, we are seeing a very sharp increase in online fraud. It's making criminals hundreds of billions of dollars. I've just come, in fact, from the Global Fraud Summit in London that discussed this very issue, and we are taking, how best we can tackle it at the global level. So when you have crime, the proceeds of crime is what FATF is targeting. And we are, working with countries essentially around the world. We not only have 40 members who are part of the FATF core membership, we have a reach of 205 countries globally who form part of our global network. And so this must be a collective global fight against the challenges of organized crime, but we want to target the money. Targeting the money is crucial, and it's something that very often people don't pay enough attention to. When you go after the money and you take away the proceeds of crime from criminals, you are basically stopping them from mounting more operations. You're stopping them from subverting systems and the rule of law. You're also stopping them from building new capabilities, buying the latest technologies, and so on. So this is the ultimate, one of the key, I would say, preventative strategies that must kick in across the world.
Have you been talking about the informal payment system Hawala today?
Well, this matter of Hawala is well known, to be a way in which funds are moved, again, beneath the surface. What we have encouraged, regulators around the world to do is essentially move things into the regulated space, because then you have greater transparency, greater awareness of exactly what's happening.
But has this been a topic during today's discussion?
I addressed it as a part of the Swedish problem, and also a part of, also perhaps to answer your question a bit, I mean, the scale of it in Sweden compared to other countries. Of course, we're looking forward to the next round of FATF work in Sweden as well. But I mean, we know that we have huge problems with money laundering in Sweden as well. Of course, several things are talking in favor of that. We need to combat that, do more. And one of the things is Hawala, and I mentioned it also to my Nordic colleagues, because the things we do now in Sweden with this suggestion of not having demanding more from the people who wants to do Hawala, but also then criminalizing everyone who does it outside the system. It's a public inquiry, as you know, to try to figure out how to do that in practice. So of course Sweden can also contribute by explaining the scale of the problem and how it is used. Because if of course other countries also tightening their system, our tightening of our system will work more effectively, and that proves of course the importance of both the international work and also of course of Nordic collaboration. So we had a brief discussion on that.
Mr. President, do you think that's a good idea to criminalize everyone who's involved in the Hawala business?
I think what's important is that you get as much of this activity regulated as possible. When it's regulated, again, there's better oversight, there's greater transparency and greater awareness of what exactly is happening in that space. So I think that is something that countries will essentially have to take a look at from their risk and context, what kind of issues, what kind of challenges they are facing, and then how best to effectively deal with these.
And do you think that's something that will be addressed in DC in April?
Not specifically on the Hawala issue. We are looking generally at the matter of payment systems. There's a lot of instantaneous payment systems, and while we want people to have the benefit of quicker, faster, cheaper systems, very importantly, the other dimension that must be addressed, it also has to be safe and secure, right? So that again, there's confidence in the system, and that there's transparency, and that's something that we are advocating for, greater transparency, so that then law enforcement is more aware and can better tackle the criminal threats and challenges.
More questions? Then there will be an opportunity to have questions separately if you want. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.